up, everyone? It is your girl Gel Beauty 87 here, aka Grace, and today we're gonna get into palettes I feel need to be condensed. So I did palettes with incomplete color stories. Now I want to talk about some palettes I feel like they need to be condensed, or as Angie or Angelica Nico is here on YouTube loves to say, I want you to edit yourself. So I feel like these palettes have way too many colors in them, and a lot of them have like a lot of the same colors in them, and it's just like, why do we have like 20 of the same color? Like, you should have edited yourself down quite a bit and handled this. So he who shall not be mentioned, I guess they will be mentioned in this video, but I feel like the size of the palette and the style of the palette, you'll know which brand I'm talking about without me actually saying the brand's name. So let's get into it. So this is number 2 of the collection. I feel like there's like a huge amount of blues in here, and then I feel like they repeated themselves in another palette. So I got this gonna have to go into 5 brands to do themselves as well, because like this whole little corner here, now I'm looking at it, it looks similar to like the newest one that they came out with in this style palette before. So I'm just like, honey, it's too much. It's too much blue and greenish in my opinion, because you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blues. So it's like, how many blues and greens did we need in here? Like, I like blues too, but like, I mean, I feel like it's just an excessive amount of blues, and then there's just one random pink and this pink, and then this random yellow. Like, I feel like this color story is kind of all over the place. I liked it initially just because, again, it had a lot of blues, but it was like, how many blues am I gonna need? And are all these blues gonna look different, or are they gonna look different enough on the eye to where you need all of them in here? Because I feel like this one and this one aren't gonna look different enough. It'll be like a slight hint of difference. Again, I feel like this one and this one, I'm sorry, this one and this one might not look that big a difference, because once you get them on the eye, sometimes they oxidize and they change. So it's like a lot of these colors I feel like just aren't gonna look that different. And I think this is like a satin matte, so this one and this one I feel like won't look that big of a difference either. So if the majority of your shades don't look that different once they're on the eye, it's like, what's the purpose of having all these shades in here, other than just to fill up the palette with a whole bunch of shades and make it seem like you did something? Because that's what it's giving if you got 40 shades in here and, you know, 10 of them are gonna look the same on my eye. Like, you just wasting my time. Next we have number 6, and then you see what I'm saying now, right? A lot of these dark shades and some of these greens at the top look really similar to that other palette I just showed you, right? Not to mention this whole row of like oranges and pinks, and this whole row of pretty much purples and the one pink. So it's like, we got a million pinks, we got all these purples, and we got a whole bunch of random oranges. And then not to mention there's pressed glitters, which we know I don't like. So it's like, this is your version of like a rainbow palette with glitters, but it's like, if you already came out with all these darker shades in the last palette, I'm sorry, and number 2, that might be why it got discontinued, because that one, if you all haven't noticed, they don't sell anymore. It was discontinued. I'm assuming it's discontinued because they knew they were going to come out with this in the future, or maybe not, or since they discontinued, they knew they could come out with this, and like a lot of people that were new wouldn't know about it, but old makeup OGs and like YouTubers like myself are going to know about it. So it's like, this is just about to go into 5 brands to do themselves, because y'all saw literally all these colors just about down here, and these greens and that yellow in that number 2 palette I just showed you. So how many of these same colors do we need in these same palettes? Not to mention you got a whole one dedicated to purple, and I'm sure some of these purples are in it too. So it's like, girl, stop duping yourself first of all. Second of all, you need to edit yourself, because you duping yourself in addition to doing too much. So I don't know. Let's keep on our prayers lifted up, child, because I don't know. I don't know. Next, I have the Color Scheme Pro 777 eyeshadow palette from Planet Makeup by Yolanda. Do we have enough greens? I mean, and I feel like a lot of them look the same. We have a few blues too, but I'm mainly talking about these greens, because like, look how many greens there. I mean, I know they're scattered throughout the palette, but I still feel like there's an excessive amount of greens. And then there's like random pops of color, like these random purples and a random pink. I would rather you bought and made a more blue, green, purple, like Michaela's palette as far as ratio goes, than with this one. Because I feel like this one could have been like that one and been really nice, but the fact that she just piled 40 greens in here and they're all just like that much difference in color, it's like we could have edited the greens and added some more purples and pinks to put with these purple, these random pops of purple and pink we put in here. We could have even put in some like more yellows or different tones of yellow shimmers. We didn't need all these greens. That's my point. That's the point I'm trying to come to at the end. We didn't need all these greens. I mean, it's a nice palette. The quality is great. I did look footage you all like to look on Instagram. So I'm not saying the quality of the palette is bad. I'm simply saying, why do we have so many greens? I feel like, you know, this should be a palette for the Grinch. It should have came out during the holidays if we're going to have all these greens. And then you could have just put some reds in it and, you know, had the pop of blue effect like everybody likes to do and go on with your day. But and a pop of red. But it's like, why do we need 40 greens? So that's my complaint on that one. Just edit down the greens. Just edit them down. That's all I want. Next I have, the last two I have for Be Perfect. I feel like you should know who they are already. This is the Carnival 3 Love Tahiti palette. Now, I love this palette. This is the first palette I bought from them because when I saw it, I was like, yes, I know. But I feel like we kind of got cheated when it came to the blues and the greens. Because look, it's like these two blues down here, that's it. We got more greens than anything else. We got a whole bunch of warm tones. And then we got like these 3 rows of pinks and purples. So I wish she had just, like, if you were going to make the palette this big, which I feel like it didn't need to be because we don't need all these purples. We don't need all these neutral tones. And then there's barely, hardly anything blue and green section. I feel like she could have edited down a row of purples and then a row of neutrals. And then that way it'd have been more evenly fair because everybody would have had 2 rows of stuff. I mean, I appreciate all the pinks and purples, but from what I remember, the pinks and purples in here didn't work that well for me. And then the fact that, you know, we got so many of them and then they didn't work that well. And then we got so much neutrals and then it got down to the blue and green and it was like, that's it. Like, I feel like there's lots of green in the jungle, not pinks and purples. So it's like why we have so much of that and not a lot of this as it is. And then a whole bunch of this random neutral stuff in the middle. So I would have preferred her to take away one of like the pink and purple rows. And this gave us a, you know, a nice little green and blue extra row. Or just row of blue and had that one row be green. And then take out another one of those neutral rows. I feel like that'd have been a lot better. The last one I have to talk about is the newest one before the one she came out with that she remastered. This is the Carnival, the Antidote. I want to get the small one that she got with the classics or the masters or whatever it's called. She has a smaller one of her original palette because I never bought the original palette because it was so big and then it had the highlighters and all the other stuff. And I wasn't particularly fond of that color story, but it's supposed to have the most popular colors from I think all the Carnival palettes, which might not be in my best interest because you got to think I just showed y'all the number 3 and then I have this number 4. But look how huge this is and how much neutral it is. I know, right? You're shocked that I even own this at all, but what ended up happening was it went on sale early enough to where I could still get a video up for you all, and I felt like you'd be somewhat interested, so I went ahead and bought it because I think I got it for 20 or 25% off after, like, maybe less than a month after it dropped. So that's the only reason it's in my possession. But we already know what my problem is with this. Like, it's too much neutral everywhere. Like, I mean, I know she needed this for her collection for all the people who like warm tones and neutrals, but that's the thing, it's mainly warm tone. I appreciate the green section, and then you got the little cool tone taupey section in the middle for people like me, but I just feel like it's too much of the same. It's way too much of the same. Like, condense it down. We don't need this many rows of warm tone. We don't need all these greens because I feel like this green is really similar to this green. And on the eyes, I feel like they're gonna look the same. I feel like this one and this one on the eyes are gonna look the same. So a lot of greens in here, I feel like we're gonna look the same on the eyes. Same thing with the reds. It's like this red, this red, this red. All of them gonna look the same once you rub them on your eyes. So it's like, is there really that much of a differentiation on it? No, there's not. So this could have been edited down quite a bit as well. I feel like, again, they should have just did 2 rows of each color. Like, you didn't have any problem doing 2 rows of the taupe, so you should have did 2 rows of greens and then 2 rows of the reddish orangish fiery tones and then called it a day. So those are some of the palettes I feel like need to be edited down. Girl, it was doing too much, child. You need to go have several seats. Okay, somebody tell them go have several seats, you need to cut. But I'm interested to know your thoughts down below, so let me know what you think. Are you with me about these brands having palettes that have way too much stuff in them, how they need to condense it, edit it, because child, they're doing too much? Because that's the way I feel about those brands and those palettes. Now, I don't think that Blend Bunny has a habit of doing that. I like the way she sets hers up in rows where you can just go down and use the row, or she has dark mattes on the bottom and shimmers and this first and that. That's why you didn't see her brand in this video. Plus, the formula on her stuff is amazing, and I feel like every color is useful and needed. If I said anything about her brand, I would just say the Primal palette, but they say that palette is supposed to make up for all the other colors that aren't in the Blends palette. So I guess I understand that. I'm not a YouTuber who does like a whole lot of detail work when it comes to stuff like that, so to me it was another rainbow palette, but it was one I appreciate, enjoy, and love because I know I love the formula. But that's why you'll most likely never see her brand in here for the aforementioned reasons. But like I said, comment down below and let me know if you agree with what I said and what I think about how they could condense these palettes. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Remember, you all are diamonds. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Be blessed, girl. Bye.